What it do, folks? It is your boy Charles Younger here with Maryland Live on the Voice of College Football. I am excited to be here with you today. I am joined with Professor G, BOG, the MLBOG, all the G's, Professor Gray, Mark
That's
Gray.
right.
How are we doing today?
Sums it up very well, sir. How are you? Um,
I am fantastic. I'm
we may
ready
have
for
to take
this.
an early break because I just noticed the power here on my computer is running extremely low. But we got a lot to get to in a little bit of time, so uh, let's open this up. This thing is it's showtime, bro. I mean, let's be
It's
real with
showtime.
you. Um,
Exactly, because yeah, Big
we've
Ten play starts
seen
for Maryland.
we've seen the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
The preseason was stellar. The good thing
Mm-hmm.
about the preseason in the case of college football is that the preseason games do in fact count. Maryland can feel really good about being 3-0. But of course, you got
Mm-hmm.
an FBS CAA pelt on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You beat, a pretty decent Northern Illinois team that's about a year removed from knocking off Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
in Indiana, and you opened up with Florida Atlantic, and it was clear that you were the superior team. So here we go. Wisconsin gets rolled by Alabama. They're going to be pissed off. Okay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Maryland's high cocky. I have to say, I'm not going to say cocky, but I will say they are a team right now at this point in the season that is on that must see list. I
Mhm.
think that Malik Washington has turned himself into one of those players. I don't care wherever you are around the country as a fan. If you see Malik Washington is going to play, you're going to check in. So it is a big Saturday in so many ways for the Terps. As much about the scoreboard and the dub, it is about the imaging. You know what I'm saying? Open up the
Mhm.
season, you get a win on the road against Wisconsin, who may not be the Wisconsin that we knew under Barry Alvarez, you know, or Brett Bielema, right?
Mhm.
But they got something to prove. They got pride. Maryland's still a bit of an unknown. I can't wait to them kick off.
Yeah, I cannot wait either because it's going to be. We said this earlier. It's going to be the test that Maryland needs to see where they stand when it comes to playing in Big Ten football against one of the blue bloods of the Big Ten. When I think Big Ten, I think teams like Wisconsin. Big O line, run the ball, steady, hardy defenses that stuff to run. And this, like I said, this is going to be that first test because they've been able to basically do whatever they wanted to with the first three games on offense and defense. We talked about some of the things that they needed to work on to improve going into this game, such as third down, fourth down conversions, um, getting off the field when you're supposed to, and then also keeping the ball on third and fourth down when you're supposed to. So it's going to be interesting. And there's another underlying storyline as well as Billy Edwards Jr., the former Maryland quarterback who transferred in the offseason to Wisconsin. I heard it's a game time decision, but there is a little bit of I guess I want to say heat, but a little bit of stuff with the current administration of the Maryland Terrapins when it comes to Billy Edwards Jr. And here's what we got to say from that.
Um, to all of those, we're going to prepare as if Billy's going to play. They've also shown they have a capable guy that has come in and won some games for them. Also, so it's not our job to figure that piece out. We just got to prepare our team for their offense. It's not about Billy. It's not about me. It's not about Maryland. And we've always kept it that way. Our standard will continue to kind of lead us in how we prepare the opponent, the names, the who we play doesn't matter. It's kind of what we've got to do, and we've kept that thing up pretty good. And I think it's worked. It served us well, so we'll keep going that direction.
Just like any other matchup, really, we take every game with equal levels of importance. So we're going to prepare the same way we prepare for the past three teams we face, and we're going to keep carrying that to the rest of the season. I think it's, like I said, the same as every other game. We're just going to go in there and prepare the same way that we do, no matter who we're playing against, and continue to prove ourselves as a program.
Really not at all. Like we kind of, Coach Monachino says, nameless, faceless objects. We kind of treat everybody with the same accordance. Like, and especially for us, we such a young team that a lot of us weren't even on the team when he was here last year. So I really don't have no. I'm indifferent when it comes to Billy.
You know what? Billy was a good football player during his time here. This is the new football. This is the landscape we're in. We're not preparing any different because Billy's on that sideline. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. And our team has a standard for what we've got to do to prepare to win a game like this. And for me, the goal is to meet that standard today, Wednesday, Thursday, how we travel Friday, and then go out Saturday. And a lot of these questions will be answered at the end of the game.
They said it right there. This doesn't matter who's on their sideline. They gotta go out and do what they gotta do to win this game.
Yeah, the political correctness was overwhelming in those statements, my friend. I think what was it, Sydney that said,
Sydney's the only one who said like no.
yeah, I'm indifferent, and I'm
Indifferent,
pretty
yeah.
sure everybody else, this is one of those stories right now that's really being driven more by media interest than anything.
Mhm.
I think both sides have moved on. It's clear when you got the best true freshman quarterback in America through his first 3 games, you're feeling good about yourself. Um,
Mhm.
I don't see Talia Tagovailoa in the NFL, so I mean, what are we really saying here? This game is it's not even about Billy Evans. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know what
Mhm.
hard feelings may be going on or what may be media fueled shots being taken or whatever, but
Mhm.
I mean, I don't see how, and looking at the answers that those kids from Maryland just gave,
Mhm.
um, they could have handled it any better. I mean,
Mhm.
especially if you were like Malik, I don't care. you know,
Mhm.
dude, I
I
gotta
say
go out
it's
and do me. And I think as long as that's the mindset and the game plan is there, and Locks sees principles from the Alabama film that
mhm.
he may be able to incorporate in this week's game plan. Um,
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see in certain sets when Maryland, because I thought in the third quarter in particular, with the game on the line against Towson, they really did a good job setting the tone by running the football. Uh,
Mhm.
but Malik Washington is also showing that he is the kind of guy on 3rd and long to me that is just as dangerous if you're not getting any pressure on him as he is on 1st or 2nd down. Now again,
Mhm.
it, pretty easy schedule for you to relax into, if you will. And I don't want to put an enormous amount of pressure on
Mhm.
Malik, but I mean, he's got the goods apparently. They say pressure, what, bust pipes and makes diamonds. I think
Mhm.
that kid's a diamond in the rough, bro.
Well, if this football thing doesn't work out for him, being a politician might work out the way he does. Handles him like being very PC about all his answers. But it's interesting. Like I said, I want to look at one thing that we talked about. We didn't get to see all the video from the pressers, but they talk about Maryland, not Maryland, excuse me, Wisconsin's size at the offensive and defensive line. Check this out. Right tackle Riley Mallman, 6'8", 313. Left guard Joe Bruner, 6'5", 317. Center Jake Renfro, 6'4", 313. Left guard, excuse me, another left guard, Colin Coverly, 6'6", 313. Another right guard, Emerson Mandel, 6'5", 330. Then we have some tackles here. Leighton Nelson, 6'6", 311. JP Bryn Swarzel, 6'6", 320. Ryan Corey, 6'4", 304. Kerry Condanco, 6'4", 311. And Davis Heinzman, don't be confused to catch up, Heinzen, 3'5", 311. So they have some size across that offensive line that's going to try to maul the defensive line of the Maryland Terrapins.
Makes you wonder what they've been putting in those brats. I mean, big if a brats on the training table or something. I mean, but
Yeah.
Chuck, this is the MO of Wisconsin. You
Hmm.
know that you're gonna have to take a punch from them in the mouth and maybe
Hmm.
throw 4 jabs to back them off a little bit. And I think, and looking at a few of the highlights from last week, um, Alabama was much faster
Hmm.
than Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about in terms of foot speed.
Hmm.
Um, and I never got the feeling that Wisconsin could impose its will on the speed that Alabama had. That
Hmm.
being said, and dare I say, the overall foot speed of Maryland is the same as it is in Alabama,
Hmm.
but I'm saying Maryland's pretty fast. They're going to play pretty
Yeah.
fast. I would assume they're going to play pretty quick. And it really comes down to, of all the coaches I've ever talked to, it's been about neutralizing power and size with speed and quickness and athleticism. We know Maryland has that. I tell you who's a step up guy, and I might be, stealing a little bit of conversation that we're gonna have later. This is Jaleel Farouk moment to me. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I mean, this a guy. All right, you talk about how big you are. Maryland, notorious wide receiver school. You got arguably a guy who could project out to be the greatest quarterback of all time, certainly since Boomer Esiason. Um, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm going, you know, this may be his moment. It's like, uh, you know, Washington has gotten all the props, but that just goes with the quarterback position. I'm not saying he's not worthy of it. But when you get into a moment like this, you're gonna have to have a co-star.
Hmm.
And we've seen how it worked, you know. Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, uh, let's see, Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, pre-SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we've seen it work. You know, uh, Denzel Washington, Spike Lee. This
Dave
is the
Chappelle and Charlie
moment
Murphy.
for Washington and Farouk to be
Mhm.
those guys. Okay, do the right thing and get the ball to Farouk. Okay, make it
That's right.
seriously. And I'm intrigued to see how that back shoulder fade plays against Big Ten corners. They have been spectacular with that play alone. I don't care if you're running a post corner or something to the center of the field. Malik drops that dime, and Farouk can catch it. So to me, for all the accolades that we've seen, I think if Maryland is going to win this game, it's a Jaleel Farouk coming out party.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Julio Fuchs will have a huge game, but I also think that all three senior receivers between Farouk, Knotts, and Octavian Smith, who had a huge game for him last week, big plays, and having big plays, making he got 100 yards, first 100-yard game his career last year. Like I said, Knotts, who has 3 touchdowns in the season, I believe. Touchdown cast in his first 8 games. He's been one of the big play guys. First receiver since Todd Felton last year to catch a touchdown in 3 consecutive games. He's been one of his go-tos. And a guy who was quiet last game, but who was huge in the first 2 games, Dorian Fleming, the tight end. Big guy, 6'3", 245-pound tight end, good speed, great hands, and who's improving his blocking game. He is going to be, I think, you think Farouk on the outside, I think Fleming, going across the middle and such like that. He's going to be the guy that's going to be probably. You think Farouk? I think Fleming's going to be the guy on offense that's going to make a huge difference in this game. Mark, I think your mic is off again.
I don't know what's going on with that either.
Oh, it's all good. So what were you
Um,
saying?
what I'm saying is, to your point, uh, it's just that time for Farouk, um, and the tight end to like. I just like the way that Pep has mixed a whole bunch of ingredients in the offensive game plan. So the devious brilliance that's going on there is that you've seen a lot, but I don't think you've seen it all.
Hmm.
Each one of those routes or trees or plays has a certain number of trees on it. And I'm thinking that there may have been ruses put on film over the first 3 games, and we haven't seen a maybe second plan or a second look. They've talked about things they wanted to do, they wanted to clean up, they wanted to get better. But there's a reason they call game plan schemes.
Hmm.
And I think there's some scheming going on over the first 3 weeks to confuse Wisconsin and anybody going into the Big Ten season. But you'll find out for real, by about 3:30, 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
And another point that they kind of started tinkering a little bit more is having Malik run a little bit more in the game against Towson. You saw him break a couple of runs for long gains. He had a touchdown. He wasn't in the running game involved much in the running game the first two games. And also they have a nice rotation of Nolan Ray and Dewan Williams at running back, two guys who are very similar in stature. About 5'10", 5'11", 210-pound running backs who can probably break it to the house. If you have those two guys getting some carries behind the line, and then have Malik possibly sneak a couple of RPOs here and there to keep the defense off balance, that can give Minnesota. I keep saying Minnesota for some reason. Wisconsin some issues, and we also have Iverson Howard also who's available as well to run the ball too. So
Yeah.
they got some options as well. They're going to have to focus a little bit more on the run in order to compete with Wisconsin because, Big said, this is Big Ten football. This is where the big boys play. This is where meat and potatoes. Not this is not sushi. This is meat and potatoes. This is not tofu and granola.
Yeah, but there's something to be said of foot speed. And that's the one thing that has happened over the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years where the foot speed and the conference, the Big Ten that is, through
Mhm.
all of this metamorphosis, has gotten faster,
Mhm.
foot speed wise. And that's another element, as much as we've been talking about the speed or the physicality that Maryland needs to adjust in Big Ten style. They gotta get
Mhm.
Big Ten fast. Okay.
Mhm.
And I mean at multiple positions. Certainly the defensive backfield, which will allow your your defensive front to blitz when they have to.
Mhm.
You may not be able to get that dominant pass rusher like you had when you say had Sean Merriman back there. Yeah. You know?
Lights out. Yeah.
So, I I'm anxious to see what, Ted Menachino does because we haven't seen a whole lot of blitzing in the first 3 games. We don't know how exotic his blitz packages are, and guess what? Neither does Wisconsin, although they may have
Mhm.
some North Carolina tape that they can pull up from somewhere and, you know, see if they can figure some things out, but I
Mhm.
think they've been very vanilla on both sides of the ball. I think you finally get to look at the real recipe uh, at noon tomorrow, Saturday.
Mhm.
Those of you who keep score at home.
Yeah. Noon, smart, 11 a.m. Wisconsin time,
Yep.
since they are in the Central. But let's talk a little bit about these lines that we've been seeing across the board. Um, Maryland is 7.5 dogs. 205 on the money line. The over under is 43.5. So they don't expect a high scoring game here, and they do expect that Wisconsin will win by a minimum of 2 scores. So I'm trying to think, what about Wisconsin in the little bit you've seen of them? I mean, we saw them play against Alabama. That was like their first national game. Didn't turn out too well for Wisconsin against Alabama. So, what is it about their game that the people, the money makers out there in Vegas say they should win by at least a touchdown or
They
more?
see the game through a totally different prism than I do, and I think
Hmm.
sometimes uh, the narrative or the perception of one program based upon the other leads into a conference line like this where there's so much uncertainty, certainly with Luke Fickle in terms of year 3. And I was
Hmm.
reading up a lot on them, but I think that the national cachet and almost the blue blood presence is where we're getting this line. I think there were some warts that were probably exposed against Alabama and
Hmm.
the greatness that is Kalen DeBoer. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't think Maryland is a double digit uh, dog in this case. I'm totally missing what's going on. They're just saying that I guess the lines people are just saying, and maybe with good reason because of the caliber of the 3 teams that they've beaten,
Hmm.
but they've handled their business well. Again, I don't think Vegas really has an idea of how Maryland looks as a Big Ten team. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
We're
Hmm.
gonna find out tomorrow. But I will say this: talent alone means that to me, Maryland shrinks. And as we, preview this contest, uh, the lines were 7.5, right?
Hmm.
And money has come on Wisconsin after they got beat by Alabama. Uh, That's an interest. That's a little rich to me, man. That's that says a lot about the perception of the program. And if Maryland can get this pelt on Saturday, then you're going to see a flip in that. But I will say to this, and we'll come back and lay it down. I'm more inclined to take the under in this game
Mhm.
uh, because I don't think either one of these teams has truly figured themselves out yet. And there's going to be some self doubt from Wisconsin when they come in,
Mhm.
especially if Billy Edwards plays. I mean, he's got to look over all a team, a place that started so great, and he just had to get up out of there. So all these,
Mhm.
you know, um, intangible factors, so many intangibles in this game, and to me, and when I'm talking about intangible stuff you can't see, feel, hear, strategize with because you really don't have no empirical data, right?
Mhm.
You can't analyze it. So I guess the gut tells me Maryland is going to play within a touchdown of Wisconsin. So if you got any Maryland, I guess the what covered is it, Chuck?
Yeah.
You take them on the under.
The under 43.5. So you think a low scoring game? That's going to be like 20. That's like 21 points each team on average. So that's going to be that's. I feel like Maryland has enough explosive plays on the outside. They can at least score 24 points in this game. So I'm kind of feeling the over because I just think the speed kills,
Maryland
and I
speed is
think that's
something to reckon with. Yeah.
and I do. I'm looking at the Maryland's defense. Like I said, this will be the first test offensively and defensively.
Right.
And Maryland does have some big boys on that D line. We talked about Dylan Fontes, Evan Thomas, and Cam Rice, and that linebacking core was Tahir Mathis, Trey Reddick, Daniel Wingate, and Sidney Stewart. Who Sidney Stewart is been all over the field. So and he said about Billy, if Billy plays, he's like he feels indifferent. So when he sacks Billy that first time, it might be a little story right there.
And it's interesting that you bring a Wingate up.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a guy with speed, athleticism. That's a game changer. Even everybody
Sideline
around
to
the
sideline.
country knows what's going
Hmm.
on.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Hey,
impressive. That's gonna be the matchup. The linebacker core is gonna be the matchup of the game I'm looking at.
hey, Chuck, can we take a break right quick so I can deal with my computer, come back on the other
Sure.
side, and continue to roll on?
Oh, we can take a quick break. I will pause the stream for right now, and then we'll come back in less than Chuck Willery. We'll be back in 2 and 2.